welcome to A Dose of Feel Good. I'm your host, Whitney Bischoff, and today we are talking about if life feels too loud, small dose, warm glow. You can see full show notes at doseoffeelgood.my.canva.site. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back to Dose of Feel Good, which I don't usually start these out with a little jingle, but apparently that's how we're feeling this week. We are at episode 45, and our topic this week is if life feels too loud, small dose, warm glow, and we are deep into our series here that corresponds with our stickers over on the Etsy shop. If you have not had a chance to check those out, I highly recommend for you to do so. But we're talking this week about just the feeling of being overwhelmed, and I don't know if it's just we're mid-March and we're deep into 2026 or if anyone else is feeling this way, but I'm definitely in that space of feeling overwhelmed. So if you're in that space too, I hope you take some time to listen to our topic this week. So we're really talking about if life feels too loud, what does that actually look like? And I feel like a lot of the time, or at least in the season of life that I'm currently in, we're going in a million different directions, or we're asked to do it all, or maybe not asked all the time, but we feel like we have to do it all. And I'm somebody, I find it really hard to say no. And so I think sometimes that can lead to committing to doing it all. And when we commit, then it's really hard to kind of go back on that. And so I think we get in that space because, at least for myself, there's so much that I want to do. There's so much that I want to accomplish. There's so many people that I want to impact. There's so much that I want to achieve. And because there's so much that we want to do, we end up in this space where we just can't balance it all. And so I think we get to this place that it's hard to prioritize where do we start, because there's so much that we want to do that we end up in this space where we're trying to do it all at once, and it's just not physically possible. And so we end up, feeling like we're in this just tornado of life because we just commit and commit and commit because we want to be able to do it all, but it's just not physically possible. And so we get in this space where prioritizing is just too hard because we can't even identify what matters most and when and how and XYZ. And so I know I find myself in that space often. And because I myself am a high achiever, I know there's probably a lot of you out there that are high achievers. We often get asked to do more because we are reliable. We get those things done. But because of that, I think we commit to the things that we're asked to do rather than focusing on the things that we want to do. Those are the things that get put on the back burner. And so because we want to accomplish so much, or we want to impact the greatest number of people, those are often our passion projects that do get put on the back burner because our day jobs, if you will, that's what I'm calling kind of the different facets of our life. Our day jobs take up the majority of our time and the majority of our energy. And so we have nothing left in the tank to focus on what we're passionate about or what we truly want to do. So that balance gets off kilter, if you will. And so we get to this space where it just spirals. It feels like this tornado and this chaos, and it can start to feel totally out of control. And I say we're just bound for this crash out as the new generation states, which makes me sound incredibly old. I'm an old soul, so we're just going to lean into it. Or it might start to feel like we're just simply existing in a space where the chaos is swirling around us. Right? Like we're going through the motions in a very, I would say, productive way because we're overwhelmed with all of the things that we're doing. We might not be doing all of them to our best capacity, but we're pumping out the things on the conveyor belt, right? As high achievers, we're still doing all of the things, but we're not committing to the things that we are actually passionate about, or the things that we actually want to accomplish in life. Those are the things that continue to go on the back burner. But I think at least what I'm starting to really learn in a space where I have been chronically overwhelmed lately, that I think this is the space where self-love truly comes in and moving things back to what's within our control. And this is what is truly the game changer. And when we're talking about the warm glow, this is our small dose of feel good for the week, if you will. When we practice self-love and what really brings us that glow inside of us, the warm fuzzies moves us into a space of calm, rather than the paralysis and fatigue that we often feel when we are asked to do it all and we're kind of just going through the motions and we're in this space of chaos on the space or bound for that crash out. If we instead pivot and find that space of I'm going to prioritize myself and I'm going to find those spaces that give me that warm feeling inside that takes me out of that space of just the constant busyness and overwhelm and the loudness, right? That chaos. I don't want to be in that space, and I want to give space for what I want, right? Like putting ourselves first. That is okay. We can be selfish. And knowing that it's really loving ourselves in the power of that and the permission of that. And there's just so much power in that. And I think I'm going to highlight this in a couple of ways. First, my current stage of life here. I know I've mentioned this. I am finally going to Mayo this week, and I'm super pumped. But my health has been really rocking me lately, and I am not someone that does anything part way. I go full out, or I don't do anything at all. So I just started 75 hard. I'm on week 2. So if you don't know what 75 hard is, it's a health challenge. 2 workouts a day, one of them outside, 45 minutes each. You stick to a diet. I'm doing 72 ounces of water, 10 pages of a nonfiction book, and a progress picture. I think that's all of it. I'm also working a full-time job and trying to get this podcast and or speaking gigs, merchandise, all of the things. So I'm doing all of that at once. And I tell folks, to me, it's definitely more of a putting myself first. So actually choosing to do those things, right? And doing it while, even though I don't feel great, like my health is not good, but leaning into what I have control over. And I have control over making the conscious choice to do those. And that's what actually feels really good right now. Like it is hard to make that choice. But I feel more overwhelmed when I'm neglecting myself, or when I'm choosing to just sit in the ugly moments. And so I've actually found more glow, if you will, from the pieces of our topic today. Like I've found so much more positivity and self-love in choosing me in this moment from this challenge. And I'm only 2 weeks in, and that really makes me excited, even amidst feeling really overwhelmed with all of the chaos that I truly cannot control. And I think in these moments, I've found so many opportunities to be purposeful and reflective in like, what's the price of my peace, right? What are my non-negotiables? Being intentional in these moments of, are there people, are there places, are there moments that are getting in the way of my peace? And the beauty of this is really finding so many opportunities in moments of true glow, those warm fuzzies, the sunlight when I'm walking outside, or being intentional about even social media, of finding inspirational quotes or TikToks that give me inspirational, or songs that provide inspiration, or reaching out to people that provide connection. And I even just like really leaning into the coffee in the morning that I'm like, this is just so good and gives me so many good feelings, right? Like those just being so intentional and purposeful. And this is going to sound harsh, but also like, are there moments that are in the way of that peace, right? Like if it is threatening my peace, then I am getting to the point where I am not going to let things threaten that peace anymore, because there's so much chaos in the world. And I think that's a lot of beauty in this challenge at the moment. And I'm really leaning into that and finding that intention, which is really amazing. And I think the impact of this is that I have felt really overwhelmed lately. And so it takes being intentional, and that spiral and that chaos and the world just feeling so loud around us. It's not sustainable, right? I think that constant news, that constant digital information at our fingertips, right? That constantness all of the time, it is not sustainable. Our physical body will shut us down. That the mental piece of all of that, it will shut down. We cannot sustain all of that. And I think the chaos of the world can feel really monumental. It can feel personal. And I think when we start to shift the mindset of what is within our sphere and being really intentional about that, making space for that. And I know I say this all the time, and it's the whole point of the podcast, but I think there's so much power in reminding ourselves that there is good all around us. And maybe that's hard to find. So maybe shifting that inward. What is the good in you? What is the good that you offer? What is the good you bring to the table? And I think finding that peace is just so powerful. And I'm somebody, I like being around people. And so I think it's hard. It has been hard previously for me to find that within myself. But there are so many moments of that warm glow, and leaning into that and recognizing that. And I think when we find that, we choose to radiate differently, and the world around us feels it. The number of times when I've heard like, oh, there's something different about you. And I'm like, there really isn't. I just choose to find those good things. And not everyone chooses to do that. But when we do, people feel it, people see it, people recognize it, and they have a lot of power in that. And they want to know, like, what makes you different? And it's that intentionality, and it's not choosing to shy away from that. It's owning it. It's, not letting people or things get in the way of what your piece is. And there is a lot of warm glow in that when we're feeling really overwhelmed. It's just that shift. And it's learning to say no. It's learning to protect your peace, and knowing that your needs, even if that means ignoring the things or people that are weighing you down, knowing that your needs matter. And I know I say this often, but I want to reiterate it again, that you do not have to do more, and you do not have to be more, and you do not have to do it all. You matter just as you are and just as you exist here. And I think that sometimes helps when life truly does feel loud and like we just have to do so much. And just take a step back, give yourself that moment, find what gives you that glow inside, and do more of those things. So our call to action is really going to be very reflection based this week. So I want you to take some time. I think I'm going to link. I started a healing playlist, if you will, and I've found it really powerful. So I'll link that. Probably on social media and on our Patreon this week. But our questions that I want you to reflect on for our call to action. First, we have to remember or figure out like what causes us to feel like everything is so loud. So what causes that anxiety to spark, those things that are like, ooh. I was just messaging some of my friends because I found a document that, it was triggering. Why I still have it, I have no idea. But anyways, so look back, what causes that anxiety to spark? And that gives you a really great starting point of what are those things that you might have to purge in your life to cause things to be less loud. The second thing that we want to do is find opportunities to set boundaries and to limit those exposures. So that's one of the first things I'm going to do. I'm like, I am going to purge this thing that automatically raises that makes me feel like that chaos is coming back. The last two are very reflective. So what is the current price of your peace? Are you making yourself feel cheap? Which is a hard question. I know I have been in that space where I'm willing to give up a lot for the world around me, put everybody else first. Let's not do that anymore. Let's increase the value because we bring a lot of value. So what is that current price of your peace? And then the second question, what might change if we found opportunities to glow rather than simply exist? So not just being in that space where that dim light, but to truly glow. And we've all known people that radiate, that glow. What would that look like for you? And how would your life change if you were in that space? So that's the end of our episode this week. So again, if you're loving Dose of Feel Good, I would love if you share this with someone who might need that reminder to glow, to lean into that. And if you need the reminder, again, we have our stickers open on our Etsy shop. We also have some merchandise, so check out our website for more feel good moments and join the movement there. Otherwise, have a great week and join us again next week. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you are feeling ready to conquer the week and let your impact ripple out to the world around you. Let's connect on Instagram and Threads at Dose of Feel Good Podcast. If you're loving the podcast, I'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button and leave a review. Until next time, share your own dose of feel good and never underestimate the power of positivity.